Okay, so that was the risk disclaimer. As you can tell by the title of the video, this is going to be two full complete trade walkthroughs and breakdowns. Um, so what I'm basically gonna do is anytime throughout the video, I feel like you need extra context behind what's going on in the video, then I'll pop in and kind of explain what I'm seeing, what I want to see, as well as what I'm anticipating here. Okay, so right now, obviously, it shows that I'm in a short position. Okay, so I took this short position shortly after midnight open. Okay, so that's around like 12 o'clock a.m. in the morning. Um, I'm expecting heavy bearishness on NASDAQ just because we were at all-time highs. Um, and so this trade here, you can see me enter on the displacement leg. Okay, we inverse a couple fair value gaps as well as we leave a couple larger imbalances there. I actually took my entry here on the 15-minute time frame, so you'll see me keep coming back and forth along the 15-minute time frame to just check the trade. But notice the bearish PD arrays that I have drawn out there, the one inversion within the 5-minute or 3-minute per value gap inside of the inversion there. Obviously, you see me keep moving my stops lower because I don't want to see price trade up into the upper quadrant of that fair value gap. Okay. Um, and then obviously my eyes are set on lower prices. So I'm targeting sell side liquidity, as well as some liquidity from the move from Monday. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and let the trade play out here. And I'll come back whenever I feel like there's stuff that needs to be explained. Okay. Okay. So you can notice that I'm about to take my first partial. Um, I'm actually going to annotate where sell side liquidity lies. Okay. It's pretty clear. Majority of you guys, beginner to intermediate students of ICT should already see where the sell side that I'm targeting lies. Um, yeah. So I'm now moving my stop loss to the protected swing high that forms inside of that inversion for value gap. And now I want to see price displace below the sell side liquidity with speed and velocity here. Okay. You'll see me mark out or annotate sell side liquidity. And at this point in the trade, I'm chilling. My stops are in profit. I feel like I got a pretty good entry. Um, and now it's all about just letting the contracts work. Okay. So I'm just making sure that I'm taking partials in the correct areas that I need to partial. And that's about it. So you can see price is now expanded towards our sell side liquidity. You'll see me take one off. Okay, so one comes off at the sell side liquidity, showing the execution there. Okay, now I'm setting my eyes on really equilibrium of the range. I know that we may not get there. You'll see me move my sell side targets at the end of this execution. But now ultimately I'm letting that last runner run for however long we can get it to run. You can see price here has now created that 3 minute fair value gap there. In this case scenario, I'd love to see that fair value gap stay open, right? And then we continue lower. Um, in this instance, we didn't get that. Okay, we had a couple of the gaps above stay open, and those gaps actually become our breakaway gap. So I just marked out equilibrium of that newly formed price range there, and I marked out the larger fair value gap that sits within equilibrium of that range, just because I know price could likely reach up into that fair value gap at a later time in the day. Okay. Now, after entering this 3 minute fair value gap, I'm still expecting price to now roll over through that new low. Okay. Once we roll over that new low, stocks become even more in profit. And you'll see in the end, we actually end up getting stopped out as price comes back into that 3 minute fair value gap. You can see price here is now starting to draw back below that intermediate swing low down there. Okay. And you can see where I have my stop loss placed. Okay. My stop loss is placed at the upper quadrant, that 3 minute fair value gap. I'll move it here just in case we expand towards that upper quadrant, respect and hold. Okay. Which I believe is what you see here. Okay. We trade up into the upper quadrant of that 3 minute fair value gap, or maybe consequential encroachment. Then here you see we start to expand lower. You'll see me move my stop loss back to a break above the high inside of that 3 minute bounce there. And then the rest is history. Okay. We get stopped out shortly after we close below that low there. Um, and so nothing really fancy. Okay. I'm gonna try to start doing a lot more live full trade executions with the walk downs and breakthroughs. Um, Unfortunately, that's gonna mean that during my live trading calls in the Discord, I'll be muted. It's easy to follow along as I'm annotating price. You can still see my entries. So yeah, so that's it for this trade right here. Ultimately, we bagged over $1,000 profit. That's always good. and nothing to complain about whatsoever. Okay. So now I'm gonna let this trade play out, and we're gonna just go ahead and get into the next trade execution that we took for today. Okay, which is a little bit more annotated. Okay, but I'll still walk you guys through majority of it. Okay, so moving on to the next trade, you can see that I already have our minor buy side liquidity level as well as our buy side liquidity level up there at the top marked out. Okay, those are my targets as well as the true open of 7:30 a.m., which is rested or which is resting right above our buy side liquidity up there. Okay, so you can see me take my entry here. As soon as we displace and we leave a fair value gap, okay, that displacement with the fair value gap, that's where I want to enter. Now, I will say that this trade walkthrough or this trade execution itself was a little shaky. I believe there was about 3 entries that I had to take to capture partials within this move here. And yeah, so typically it's pretty bearish day. I figured that. So just understand the reason why I'm taking the entries and I'm taking my stops uh, as seen in this video uh, is solely because I understand that I'm trading in um, high resistance areas, and I'm trading in high resistance day. Okay, so you can see price comes down, stops us out because it fills that 1 minute per value gap right there. The second I see it start to displace back above the inversion for value gap, you'll see me take another entry. Okay, but honestly, going into this trade, I already knew that we were extremely bearish. Okay, so any bullish entries, I understand that I have to be a little more lenient when it comes to the stop sizes. Um, but you'll see exactly how I navigate that here. Okay, so notice after we close above the inverse, I take my entry. Okay, and I want to see price not come down to the lower quadrant of this inversion for value gap. I would love to see price hold the upper quadrant or the lower quadrant and not really bother. Okay, you'll see here in just a couple of minutes, price does a very steep um, stop hunt after respecting the lower quadrant of this inverse for a couple of minutes. Okay, and immediately after that stop hunt, price then expands. Okay, so in just a couple of minutes, when you see us get stopped out, price then expands higher. Okay, notice I entered after the stop hunt yet again to capture a little bit more of this move. Okay, just because my conviction to us to get to buy side liquidity is super high. I want to trade this move the best I can, and it may not be perfect as far as entries and exits, but the goal to trading here is not to be perfect; it is to make money. Okay, notice after this trade, I finished the day around $800 profit, um, and that's more than enough to finish with for a green day for me. Okay, on a month and a futures 50K account, $800 profit on the day is more than enough. But just a couple minutes here, you'll see me get stopped out, and you'll see price start to expand higher. Here comes the stop hunt. Notice at the price stop hunts, and I see the immediate rejection out, followed by then expansion. I'm tempted to enter again. Okay. I like that wick. I like the strong expansion displacing back above the high after. Okay. I exited that entry a little early, just allowed price to show me a little bit more what it wants to do. Okay. Got a little trigger happy there. But notice we enter again. The second we feel like we're going to inverse this current 1 minute fair value gap that we're trading inside of, you'll see I'll do that here. Price trades just a little bit above it, almost reaching our final TP, and we settle with the profit that we make there along that last little expansion move. Okay, here I show the executions, and that's it. Right, so this is the end of the video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the 2 full trade walkthroughs. I'll try to get better at the trade walkthroughs when it comes to actually annotating and calling out the price live as I'm trading. But in one of those executions, it was like midnight, obviously. Um, so, yeah. So hopefully you guys have learned something. If not, continue practicing, continue watching over the videos. But I promise to get better at the full trade walkthroughs and the full trade recaps. And yeah, I will not be trading FOMC. So I hope you guys have a safe trading week. I'll probably come back Friday and look for a trade. Okay. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and peace out.